Hey, good morning, everybody. You know, on this past Tuesday, it was the day the federal court set for the Trump administration to unify all children under the age of 5 who were forcefully separated from their parents and then traumatically shipped out all over the country to at least 21 different states with complete strangers, really for no reason other than cruel and unusual punishment. And of course, the Trump administration missed the deadline. It wasn't even close. And of course, the Trump administration is not really bothered by this failure. And the entire ordeal was designed to strike fear into immigrants of color who may dare attempt to enter this country. And new numbers released by the DOJ yesterday, because of a lawsuit with the ACLU, show that 102 children under the age of 5 have been taken by the Trump administration, and many of them simply cannot be unified with their parents. Why? Because many of these little kids have been farmed off to different states all over the country, and their parents have already been deported. The Trump administration admitted yesterday that it has already deported 12 parents of the 102 youngest children. In other words, the children are here in this country with complete strangers, and their parents have already been sent thousands of miles away back to their home country. And if these numbers hold up for the children of all age groups, with about 3,000 children now in custody, we could reasonably conclude that somewhere between 250 or 300 of these children are now being housed with complete strangers and have parents who've already been deported. And how in the hell are these deported parents supposed to reconnect with their children? The Trump administration has also admitted that other children under the age of 5 who've been separated from their parents are also unlikely to be unified with them. 4 of those parents are in local jails where it's impossible to reunify them. 8 of the parents are in federal criminal custody where reunification is not possible. And the unthinkable has happened. The Trump administration openly admitted in court on Tuesday that they don't even have any information at all on the parents of one of the young children who has been separated. How old is that child? How did this happen? And what are they going to do about it? It's an abomination. Is this child related to a family whose records have already been destroyed by the government, which the government also admitted that it has done? I know that we are frequently overwhelmed with bad news in the Trump era, but this isn't simply bad news. This is a human rights catastrophe, and it was completely avoidable. Of the 102 youngest children we have the most basic data for, we now know that it will be outrageously difficult, if not impossible, to reunify at least 22 of them. And we've seen this happen before in a case that each and every one of us should be familiar with. And I want you to know this name, Bail Romero. I must admit that I had never heard what this country did to her until this past Monday. Again, her name is Bail Romero. In 2007, Bail, a Guatemalan immigrant, was arrested in Missouri during an immigration raid, having broken no other crime other than being in this country without proper documentation. Her young son, Carlos, was just 11 months old and was sent by the government to live with complete strangers after her raid. What happened next is completely unthinkable. And as a father of 5 myself, I have to fight back the tears and anger as I think about what the government did to Bail Romero. The family, whose home the government placed her 11-month-old son Carlos in, changed his name, legally changed his name from Carlos to Jameson, and changed his last name from Romero to Moser, then fought in the courts for Bail to never see him again, and they won. The courts declared that when Bail Romero was jailed for her simple immigration violation, that she quote-unquote abandoned Carlos and therefore lost her parental rights. I kid you not, she even lost her rights to see her son. They revoked her visitation rights, and she committed no other crime, made no other mistake. For years on end, Bail Romero fought to regain custody of Carlos, but was denied at almost every turn. And when she finally appealed to the Supreme Court, they refused to hear her case, and that was in 2014. Carlos Romero, now named Jamison Moser, her son, lives with his adoptive white parents in rural Missouri and just turned 12 years old. Mind you, Belle Romero was working as a migrant farmer in Missouri. She was providing for her family. But even if she wasn't, poverty and unemployment are not legitimate excuses to kidnap someone's child, to rename them, and to terminate the rights of the birth parents. With thousands of immigrant children forcefully separated by their parents, it would be naive for us to assume that many of them aren't also on the path of Bale and Carlos Romero. And I'll close this morning with this thought. What we are witnessing is one of the worst human rights abuses by the federal government in our lifetime. And I've said this on the air many times, but injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And we must continue to speak up and speak out against what we see happening with American immigrants in the Trump administration. Take care, y'all. Yeah, absolutely. Well, the DA in San Bernardino that we're talking about, Michael Yellian, he has not been fired. He's just suspended. We want him to be fired. And you're right. Thousands of our listeners called in. Yeah, it's not even suspended. So he basically just been given paid leave. So suspended is probably not even the right word. It's the first time the department has done something like that. But we have to keep up the pressure. And when we were off air, Kim said something that's so true. What these departments often do is they will give someone leave while the heat is on, hoping that we will forget and the heat will pass. So we have to keep that stuff up. Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate y'all.